On a flight from Los Angeles to New York in the fall of 1971, Roberta Flack heard a song she had never heard before through a pair of airline headphones. She asked the flight attendant to restart the channel. She listened again. Then she asked her to restart it a third time. By the time the plane landed at JFK, she had decided she was going to record that song, whatever it took. She was going to make it hers. What followed became one of the most unlikely #1 records in the history of American popular music. A song written about a singer Roberta Flack had never met, recorded from a version she heard once in the air, that spent 5 weeks at the top of the pop chart and won the Grammy for Record of the Year 2 years in a row. Patricia Cole had been a flight attendant with Eastern Airlines for 4 years when she was assigned to the Los Angeles to New York route in the fall of 1971. She was 26 years old, organized, precise, the specific kind of person who is drawn to work that requires the management of many things simultaneously and who is good at it. She had learned in 4 years on that route to notice which passengers were the kind that would need assistance and which were the kind that would prefer to be left alone. She had not learned to anticipate the kind that would need the audio program restarted 3 times. She noticed Roberta Flack early in the flight, not because she recognized her, but because of where her attention went when the in-flight audio program reached a particular song in its rotation. The headphones went on, the body stilled. Patricia had seen passengers fall asleep on long flights. She had seen passengers work through entire flights without looking up. She had not seen the specific quality of stillness she was now observing, the stillness of someone who is completely awake and has directed every faculty toward a single point. Roberta Jean Flack was born on February 10, 1937, in Black Mountain, North Carolina, and grew up in Arlington, Virginia, the daughter of Irene Flack, a church organist, and LaRon Flack, who played piano. She was playing piano at 9. She was accepted to Howard University at 15 on a full music scholarship, the youngest student the university had accepted in that program. She studied classical piano. She studied voice. She graduated in 1958, taught school in Farmville, North Carolina, and then moved to Washington, D.C., where she taught music at Brown Junior High and played piano in the evenings at a Georgetown supper club called Mr. Henry's. Les McCann, a jazz pianist and Atlantic Records recording artist, heard her playing at Mr. Henry's in 1968. He made a phone call. Atlantic Records signed her. Her first album, First Take, was released in 1969. It included The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face, a song written by Ewan McCall in 1957, which Roberta had transformed through tempo and interpretation into something that bore only a distant structural relationship to the original. The album sold modestly at first. Then Clint Eastwood used The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face in his 1971 film Play Misty for Me. The song was released as a single. It went to #1. She was 34 years old. It was her second year as a recording artist. She was on the Los Angeles to New York flight because she had been in California for a recording session. She was flying home. She was, in the fall of 1971, at the beginning of understanding what her career was about to become. The #1 record, the Grammy conversations, the realization that she was not just a jazz and soul singer with a cult following, but something that crossed the categories the music industry had been using to contain her. The in-flight audio program reached the song at some point over Nevada or Utah. The song was Killing Me Softly with His Song, a version recorded by a singer named Lori Lieberman, who had heard Don McLean perform an early version of a song called Empty Tables at a small club in Los Angeles, and had described the experience in a poem that the songwriters Norman Gimbel and Charles Fox had used as the basis for a lyric. The Lieberman version was a small release, not widely distributed, not charting. It was new enough that most people on the plane had not heard it. Roberta had not heard it. Patricia was at the rear galley when a call light came on from seat 14C. She went forward. The passenger, a black woman in her mid-30s, sitting alone, headphones around her neck, asked her if the in-flight audio program could be restarted from the beginning of its current selection. Patricia said she would check. She checked. She restarted it. She was at the forward galley 10 minutes later when the same call light came on. She went back. The same request. Could it be restarted again from the beginning? Patricia restarted it. When the third request came, she stopped at the seat and asked, gently, professionally, whether there was something specific the passenger needed, something she could assist with. The passenger looked up. She said, "I'm sorry. I know this is unusual. There's a song on that channel and I need to hear it again. I need to understand what it's doing." Patricia restarted the channel a third time and went about her work. But she found herself, for the rest of the flight, aware of seat 14C in a way she was not aware of most seats on most flights. She looked over when she passed. The headphones were on. The stillness was there, that same quality of directed, full faculty attention. Not passive listening, something more active than listening, something closer to the way a physician listens to a body, looking for information rather than experience. They landed at JFK at 11:15 in the evening. The passengers deplaned. Patricia was doing her post-flight duties when the woman from 14C paused at the galley entry and said, simply, "Thank you." Patricia said, "Of course." The woman nodded and went down the jetway. Roberta Flack recorded "Killing Me Softly" with his song in 1972. Atlantic released it in January of 1973. It entered the pop chart and climbed steadily for 6 weeks, reaching #1 in February. It spent 5 weeks at the top. It won the Grammy Award for Record of the Year in 1974, the same award she had won the previous year for The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face, making her the first artist to win the Grammy for Record of the Year in consecutive years. The song is about a singer. A woman walks into a room where a man is performing and hears him sing something that feels like a direct address, as if he has read her letters, as if he knows her life. The specific intimacy of recognizing yourself in someone else's words, the specific vulnerability of feeling seen by a stranger. He is singing her life with his words, killing her softly with his song. The layers of reflection in that narrative, the song about being undone by a song, recorded by a woman who was undone by a version of that song on an airplane, a woman whose own voice would undo millions of listeners who heard it, are the kind of thing that happens in music when the right song and the right voice find each other, and neither one has been looking for the other, but both have been, without knowing it, moving in that direction. Patricia Cole retired from Eastern Airlines in 1989. She remembered the flight with the call light from 14C for the rest of her working life and after. Not because she knew who the passenger was. She did not know that night who Roberta Flack was in any specific way, but because of the quality of what she had witnessed. A person in an airplane seat hearing something and being completely stopped by it. 3 requests to hear it again, each one more particular than the last. The recognition of something important happening in the air above the country. She said, "I've seen people sleep on planes. I've seen people work for 5 hours without looking up. I've seen people cry watching movies on the small screen. I've seen a lot of what happens to people when they're in a metal tube for 5 hours with nowhere to go. I had not seen what I saw in that seat. It wasn't enjoying the music. It was something more serious than that. It looked like work. Not the Grammy. Not the 5 weeks at #1. The call light over Nevada and a woman in seat 14C saying, very quietly, "I need to hear it again. I need to understand what it's doing." Subscribe to Untold Soul Legends. Every week we find the moments behind the music that changed everything. The comment section is open. Tell us which soul legend story you want to hear next. If this one stayed with you, share it with someone who needed to hear it today.